Hi, I'm Dana, and this is another video that I'm really struggling to get started with because I feel like I need to make sure that you have all of the context, but then if I give you all of the context, I am just sort of giving you the rundown of my own life story and my father's, and it's just a bit weird and unnecessary. So we're going to work with trying to add the context in as we go, and I hope you can keep up. I'm doing my best, okay? So I've been making content talking about my family and growing up and the abuse and neglect and trauma that caused me. And semi-regularly I get comments either asking about my dad, implying that my life would have been easier if I had a dad, implying that my dad would have stopped my mum from doing things if he had been there. And it's always a bit of a weird thing for me to get because I'm very aware that I don't talk about my dad all that much in videos. And this is where we're going to be adding context in as we go because he died when I was 18. So I hadn't processed anything that had happened to me at that point, any of it, you know? I really didn't have a clue what was going on. I didn't know, I didn't have a single bit of a grasp on myself. I was still very much practically a child despite having, that's the thing, you turn 18, it's you were growing up now, and it's no, I fucking wasn't. I absolutely was not. So I very simply didn't get around to having an adult relationship with my dad in the way that I did with my mum. And it was as I continued to grow and mature and figure things out and learn things about myself and realise what normal family relationships are and how you're supposed to be treated in relationships and how you're supposed to be treated as a person in general. It was all that stuff that I had to learn to be wait a minute, my mum's actually really not nice to me, actually never has been. Whereas my dad wasn't alive for that era of my life, you know, that's when he stopped being there, he died. So I didn't have to deal with unpacking it all and processing it all as much because I wasn't trying to build and repair a relationship with him, you know? As much as I was realising my mum's actually really not fucking nice to me and she literally never has been, I still wanted a relationship with her. She was my mother. I didn't intend to go no contact. I didn't want to cut her off. That was not a concept that I had when I first started realising things about my childhood and the way that my life had been. I very much wanted to rebuild and repair the relationship. And in just not having gotten to that point with my dad just not being around for that because he had died, not because he had buggered off, you know, he was dead. I just didn't have to process and unpack the relationship that I had with him in the same way that I needed to with my mum. However, what has come from that with time and from people commenting on YouTube videos and the like is having to process okay, so he just watched me being abused, then he just watched me being abused and neglected, and he was my father, he had a responsibility to me, he was my dad, he was also a parent in the situation. At any point he could have been the one that was no, actually, when our daughter's soles are falling off her school shoes, it is time to buy her new school shoes, even if the school year isn't over. When he was sat at the dinner table watching me cry and sob, and he even gagged because I couldn't eat the food that I was being told I needed to eat before I was allowed to leave the dining table. He was never you know, she clearly doesn't like it, leave her alone, stop doing this to her. You know, he sat there and let it go on. And there were lots and lots of moments in which my dad definitely wasn't aware of what was going on. He definitely wasn't aware of the way that my mother spoke to me and treated me in some areas, because a lot of the time he wasn't there, and he should have been, you know. And I have a lot more empathy towards my dad that I'm not entirely sure is correctly placed, to be completely honest with you, purely for the fact that a lot of my childhood he wasn't there because he was working, you know. There were several chunks of my childhood where he was the only parent that was working. My mum had various points when she did work very, very hard in jobs that I could not imagine even trying to do, don't get me wrong. But my dad was always seen as the main breadwinner, because my mum massively centred that. My mum very much wanted and built a very traditional heteronormative relationship where the man's supposed to go to work and she's going to stay at home and cook and clean and deal with the children. So it was very normalised and seen as completely fine and normal in my family that my dad would get home from work and go into his office, and that was that. You know, we'd see him when he came out for dinner time because my mum insisted that we had dinner sat at the table as a family, and he'd watch me scream and cry and be I can't eat this, and gag while trying to force food into my mouth, and just sort of watch it happen, eat his own dinner and, you know, hang out, and then he'd go back into his office. Weekends, he was in his office. A lot of times as a child, my mum would be we're going to go and do this today, go and tell your dad. And I'd go and tell my dad, and he'd be you have fun now. And I'd be no, I'm telling you so that you can come with us, but it's a family day out, you're supposed to be coming with us. And he'd be no, I've got work to do, I'm not going, I'm not doing it. So, you know, he was always right there He was always directly right there. I could always go and talk to him, whether or not I'd get any... See, that's the thing, is that I still have the thing like, well, my dad told me that I could go and talk to him at any time. My dad was great because he told me I could go and talk to him at any time. Like, sure, he wasn't like physically actually like hanging out with us and making active attempts to like be a part of the family, but I could go and talk to him anytime I wanted to. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'd go in and just be like talking to him and then realise that he just flat out was not listening. Like, I may as well have been talking to a wall because like he was completely zoned out. He wasn't paying a single lick of attention to me. So eventually you just sort of stop going to talk to your dad because like, yeah, he says that you can talk to him anytime. He's not listening. So I just stopped bothering, you know? But then we would have these lovely little times where he made me feel like I was the most like precious little princess in the whole world. And that was why I was such a daddy's girl, because like I didn't get any of those moments from anybody else, you know? Like, they were few and far between and extremely fucking simple. Every relationship that I've ever had in my life, one of the things that really pisses me off is that I'm quite fucking easy to please. Like, one of my absolute favourite memories I have with my, like, so there was a small period of time before we moved to Denmark when there was a local lake that my dad used to occasionally, like, maybe once every like 3 weeks or something, would drive us out to, just me and him, and we'd walk around the lake and we'd sit and we'd just like watch the birds and watch the dragonflies play on the water. And there was this one time that he pulled out his penknife and he carved my name into the little like bit of wood that holds like the step up to go down to the water, and it was one of the best moments of my whole entire childhood. I was absolutely like enamoured and fascinated, and I thought that was like the coolest thing that had ever happened to me. My dad carved my name into that bit of wood, you know? Like, I was so, in many of my relationships, I was so often treated as though like I'm asking for far too much. I'm asking for the fucking world, and if I just accepted the really great things that people are doing for me, I'd be happy, but I'm just never happy with what I get. So when I was like begging for my dad to spend time with me, it was things like that that I wanted, and I was just treated as though I was like asking for the entire fucking world and expecting my dad to like spend 3 hours with me going out to a lake for a walk around, you know? But that was also the part of my childhood where my dad's disability started to really increase. He was diabetic and had like a host of other things going on, but it was the diabetes specifically that meant that he had like a absolute host of fucking ulcers and all sorts of shit going on with his feet and his legs and his ankles that made it really painful for him to walk. And it's one of those things that obviously you need to accommodate to and be understanding of and everything else, but also as a 9-year-old that just wants to spend time with your dad, it is like, well, figure it out, my guy. Like, I want to spend time with you and do something, because all you do is sit in this office, and like, if I come in to sit with you and spend time with you, you're not actually spending time with me because you're not paying any attention to me. So like, please, I'm begging you, spend some fucking time with me. And it especially upset me as a kid because my mum and my brothers would consistently talk about how before I was born, my dad was so fun. Before I was born, my dad played with them and he did things with them and he went places with them. My dad was this like super cool, great guy up until I was born. And it was like, okay, so like, sorry I ruined everything, sorry dad doesn't like give a fuck about me, like shit, sorry. But even when saying that, like I knew that my dad did give a shit about me. My dad is the only person in my family that I never once questioned if he liked me or if he loved me. Like I knew that he did. But one of the traits that he had that was like very, very, very similar to my mother, both of them are very like, we want to help people, we want to assist people, we want to help people, we want to make people's lives better. So both of them had worked for social services at various points. My mum worked for various, like, in different types of homes and schools for disabled people. And then when I was like 6 or 7, I want to say, they started their own business doing like hypnotherapy and Reiki. And like, to be fair, my dad was in newspapers and stuff because of the way that he had helped people that had been victims of some like really fucked up and horrible crimes to get over, not get over, but you know, like move through their anxieties and be able to like live happy, fulfilling fucking lives again. Like, he did do really great things for people, but both him and my mum had the thing of like, we want to help people, we want to make the world a better place. Not you, not our children. We're really tired from trying to like help the rest of the world. So you're just gonna have to deal with things on your own. Like, you're just gonna have to figure it out and deal with it because we're helping people. And I think that's also where my mum hated it when I asked questions. My mum didn't want me to ask questions. She didn't want to answer my fucking questions. If I asked a question, I was probably getting some like shitty, snarky answer and being told to fuck off essentially. Whereas with my dad, he would answer my questions. So that was where I think I still am able to have a lot more like understanding and empathy towards my dad, even though all he did was make fucking excuses. Like I got excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. There was always a reason that my dad didn't have time to spend with us. There was always a reason that my dad didn't want to like do this and that with us. And I say us, but like I do mostly mean me, to be honest with you. Like he wasn't there on family trips, but like I also didn't particularly enjoy family trips. And I say that as well, but like that's very much the day-to-day. When we went camping, see, our family holidays for like the vast majority of my life was camping because we didn't have any money. So like he'd go on camping trips with us. My dad just never seemed to particularly want to be there, is the thing. And we bonded over that, because nor did I. Like spending time with my family was deeply fucking unpleasant, and he definitely felt that too. A massive part of our bond was very simply that we didn't like the fucking people we lived with. We didn't like my mum, we didn't like my brothers. It was the two of us and the three of them. And I was definitely massively given the vibe of like it's the two of us against like the world kind of thing. But also it weren't the fucking two of us, was it? Because he was see, and that's the thing as well. One of his big excuses was like, I need to be in the study because that's where my computer is and I do work on my computer. And it's like, okay, Dad, but how come it is every single fucking time I come into your office you're playing fucking mahjong? I'm not messing. Like from the age of like 6 or 7 up until I was 18, he died. Every time I saw that man on our computer, which was most of the fucking time, he was playing mahjong. It was just mahjong. But I was told so many times, your dad's in there because he's working, don't disturb him, don't bother him, let him do his work. The man was on mahjong. But I just took what I was told. I've lost my train of thought quite a lot. So we're going to move on to when we moved to Denmark, because when we first moved to Denmark, there was like 3 or 4 months where my mum was still in the UK. She was still trying to like sell the house and get all of that stuff sorted. It was my dad, my brother and me that had moved into a flat in Denmark. And it was the weirdest thing because it stayed the same. I still like barely saw my fucking dad. He would get home in the evening from his job. I would make dinner for us because I was the woman in the house and that's what everyone expected. And then he would eat that with me and we'd like have a little chat and play a little bit of Yahtzee. And then he'd go and sit on his computer out in the like conservatory balcony type thing that we had and play fucking mahjong and say that he was doing work. And it's not something that I've talked about a bunch because I feel like it is trauma that is like quite specific to me. But I do feel like it was actually really traumatising to have like 4 months in my, like, as an 11-year-old, where I went to school, no one spoke the same language as me, so no one fucking spoke to me. If someone did speak to me, I'd just sort of stare at them with a blank look and be like, I'm sorry, I speak English, I don't know what you're saying, and they'd giggle and run off. I'd get home, I'd have a 20-minute conversation with my dad, and then he'd fuck off, and that was that. Maybe twice a week I'd see my brother and have some sort of argument with him. Like I remember at one point he was eating the last, like, he was taking the last of the bread to make toast when he'd come in from work, and I was like, no, but I need that bread to have a sandwich tomorrow, otherwise I'm not going to have anything to eat at school. And that became a whole massive argument where he ended up like throwing the bread at me. I was in the middle of like cooking and doing things on the table, so it immediately fell in a load of shit, and I was like, great, brilliant, no one can use it now. And I was constantly just, I had situations like that with my brother. I had like the 20 minutes of like eating dinner and playing Yahtzee with my dad of an evening, and that's the only fucking human social interaction that I had for months on end. Once a week I'd talk to my mum on the phone and she'd just sort of berate me and be really rude. Like she was so annoyed. Like she'd ask how I was and I'd be like, oh actually I'm having quite a hard time, like no one speaks the same language as me, it's really difficult to learn Danish, like this is hard and this is hard. And she'd be like, God, all you do is whinge, don't you? But other kids would be really happy to have the opportunity to start over new in a new country, but you're just complaining and moaning and whinging, aren't you? And I'd be like, shit, alright, sorry, like fuck. And despite like I said, I do think that was kind of traumatising and definitely not good for like my social abilities in general as a fucking teenager, never mind as an autistic teenager. Like that definitely fucked me up a little bit, you know? But then my mum moved over and it feels really mean to say I'd already been having a really hard fucking time just as things were. I didn't really think that things could get any worse. But then rather than coming home and just like being empty and a bit lonely, I was coming home and just walking on eggshells. I never knew what fucking next issue my mum was going to have with me, especially during that time. That was the time when like our relationship deteriorated the most because she was just fucking rude to me. And it's one of those things where like I do massively empathise with the fact that it was a really difficult time for all of us. But I just wanted to come home from school and watch Hannah Montana. And instead I was coming home from school to get like screamed at and berated by my mother for like 2 hours and then cry and then be forced to eat a dinner I didn't like and be told how useless I am for not being able to speak Danish yet and go to bed and rinse and repeat. You know, and it's stuff like that where like my mum very regularly fucking screamed at me. So it's stuff like that where like my dad was in the next room You know, like, sure, maybe he didn't know, like, the full context of what was going on, but he knew that my mum just spent ages fucking shouting at me every night for, like, whatever reason she could find. There was so many times, and especially, there was only, like, 2 or 3 months where my brother was still living with us in that situation, and then he moved to Copenhagen, and I was basically an only child from that point on, up until I was, like, 16, and my brothers kept moving back in. And once it was the 3 of us is when I think that she just really fucking hated me. There was no one to distract her, there was no one else there to, like, focus her energy on, and we were all having an awful fucking time. So she was fucking horrible to me in Denmark. And that's the only, like, period of time that I remember my dad ever stepping in. Like, there were so many times that we'd be sat outside. We had, like, an outside table in the garden in Denmark to enjoy the glorious Danish sun in the summer, and I was like, this is exactly the same as it is in England, like, what are you on about? But we'd be sat out there, and she'd just be, like, going in on me. She would just be, like, berating me and being absolutely horrible and, like, bullying me, essentially, about the way that I looked, the way that I talked, the fact that I couldn't speak Danish yet, the fact that I hadn't made any friends, how silly I looked on my bike, like, anything you can imagine. She'd just have a fucking go at me for and be really annoyed at me for. And I remember so many times during that period that my dad would be like, Jesus T, like, she's just a teenager, she's just a kid, what? Like, that's a non-issue, why are you having a go at her for that? Why are you shouting at her for that? And then she'd turn on him, so he stopped doing it after a bit. And I think that's again where, at the time, it felt almost like we were, like, in this together, when the reality is that he was a full-grown man. Like, why are you accepting that treatment? I understand why he's accepting that treatment, because I've been in a relationship where I accepted that treatment. I just didn't have a fucking kid with them. But also, I left it, you know? Like, it sucks being the cycle breaker. It sucks having to look back and be like, why didn't you break the cycle? Like, we could have all had a much easier fucking time if you'd been like, oh shit, my wife isn't nice to me or the kid. You know? Like, it's really weird to look back, and because I wanted to say my dad protected me in the ways that he could, but, like, he didn't. He was a full-grown adult. He could have left. Like, he'd proven to himself, to me, to my mother, to whoever else needed to know that he could care for me on his own. Like, he'd done it for months, you know? And, like, sure, it wasn't great. It was very lonely. I felt very alone. It wasn't the best fucking thing in the world. Definitely preferred it over being bullied and berated by my own mother, you know? Like, it was definitely nicer than that. Like, the way that the vibe of the whole, like, household changed when she moved back in, I much preferred it before. But I think, again, it's the fact of, like, I've been in a relationship that was, like, very fucking similar with just, like, the genders reversed, and it took me 8 years to leave it. And my parents did definitely have somewhat of a different dynamic, but I think I also am quite a similar person to my dad, you know? And I don't know what the fuck I'd have done if I'd had kids in that relationship, if we'd bought a house together, if I had all of those things going on, if I was married to them and it had to be an actual full divorce and not just like we're breaking up now. Like, I think it's just sort of impossible for me to see that in a non-biased way when it's my father, it's my dad, it's my life, it's the way that I grew up. I can see myself in that. Like, you know, I don't think that I can have a non-biased view of it. So it is one of those things where, like, do I think my dad should have done things massively different? Do I think that my dad should have protected me and looked out for me a lot more? Do I think my dad should have put a stop to some of, like, he could have put a stop to some of the abuse I faced from my mum. He definitely could have had words with her. He was running in, like, all of these fucking wellness circles, you know. I'm quite surprised that there was never any suggestion of, like, family therapy or anything like that. Like, absolutely, definitely things that he could and probably should have done. And I'll give that. I do think if he hadn't died when I was 18 and he'd stuck around for when I had all the questions and these types of topics that I'm bringing up now, if I'd been able to have those types of discussions with him and he hadn't given me good responses, I can imagine our relationship would have, like, fallen to absolute shit and really deteriorated, and I would probably be very angry and upset about it all. But he did die when I was 18. I didn't get to have these discussions and bring up these topics to him. I don't know what he would have said or how he would have felt about any of them. It's just the way it is. Like, I think it's less that I'm, like, more forgiving of him than I am of my mum, and more that he didn't do anything as bad as my mum. Quite frankly, like, she was the one leading the abuse. Yeah, he should have stopped it, he should have done this and that, but, like, the other part of it is that I've been in that, I haven't been in that same situation. I haven't watched my child being abused by someone, don't get me wrong, but I've been in similar relationships. I've been in some similar positions to my dad. They're hard, they're really fucking difficult, I watched him go through various points of burnout. He always thought it was depression. I know better now, quite frankly. Like, he was experiencing the exact same thing that I've experienced when I've gone through autistic burnout, and he was just being prescribed various antidepressants and being told, like, fucking cheer up, mate. Like, I just feel like it's the kind of situation that I'm too close to, and loved my dad too much to really be able to look at it in a way that isn't biased towards him. Like, I think the reality is that I probably should see him a lot more similarly to how I see my mum and think about him more in that kind of vein. And I just can't. I just can't. And again, I do think a massive amount of that is very simply that he died when I was 18, you know? Like, he just... I've had a lot of time and a lot of distance from it due to that. I just mostly feel quite sorry for him, to be completely honest. And I think there's also a massive level of the vast majority of times that my dad fucked up, the times that my dad did things that, like, traumatised me or upset me or whatever else, I could see what the intention was, you know? Like, he very genuinely did have the best of intentions, and it didn't always go the right way, because things don't. But he was always trying his best. He always, like, genuinely was trying to do what was best for everyone involved. Like, he really did try, and he fucked up repeatedly, don't get me wrong. But he had the best of intentions, whereas there were a million and one things that, like, even when I was, like, bringing topics up to my mum and discussing with them with her, there were so many times that I was like, so you knew that it would upset and hurt everyone, and you just went for it. Okay, good to know. Whereas my dad was always, like, very genuinely, like, trying to do what would make everyone happy and what would, like, it was the best of intentions, like I said. I don't know, I'm trying to find more words. It just didn't always fucking go right, you know? So yeah, that's I do kind of feel like I haven't actually said anything in this video, to be completely honest with you. I largely just want a video to point people to when they ask about my dad, because I feel weird getting comments about it when I did sort of feel like I'd talked about my dad enough that people would get the vibe. But also, people don't watch every single one of my videos and don't listen to, like, every single fucking sentence I say. I get it. So, like, here you go. Here's the lowdown on my father. Christ, and I think this might be one of the longest videos I've ever fucking made at this point. But to be fair, like, my dad gets, what, like a 25-minute video. My mum gets... How many videos have I done about my mum? You know? But you're probably getting used to it now, because we have, like, basically finished the video, haven't we? And I'm not going to be saying any more about the actual topic, so you can leave now if you want to, but I would really appreciate it if you stuck around, because one of my best friends has a GoFundMe up. Their partner's a wheelchair user who has a host of different chronic illnesses and disabilities, and needs to go to hospital appointments, needs to go to doctor's appointments, needs to be able to go out and do fulfilling fun things, needs to be able to go out on dates with my best friend, because, like, that's fun, that's nice, it's a good part of life. Disabled people deserve to have good parts of life too, as well as getting to doctor's appointments and hospitals and the like. And due to the things that they have going on, it's an absolute nightmare for them. If they go in taxis or ambulances, they're often, like, unable to take their wheelchair for one, which strands them. It's, you know, it's the equivalent of taking someone's fucking legs away. They need that. That's how they get around. That's how they move. So that's a horrifying situation for them. Oftentimes taxis are too low and it injures their neck. There's just a host of reasons that there's no accessible transport available to them that doesn't further injure them or cause them pain or just generally fucking suck. So my friend has created a GoFundMe so that they would be able to buy an adaptive van that would mean that their partner can just wheel up into it and be in their chair and have their fucking, like, way of moving around and getting to places to stay with them. And it would just honestly be, like, quite... It would be life-changing for both my friend and their partner, obviously mostly for their partner, because it would mean they can get around to places. They've had times that they've had to put off going to doctor's appointments, they've had times that they've been told that they should be visiting A&E, they should be going to hospital, something is wrong, and they've just had to put it off until they're able to actually, like, find a better mode of transport to get there. It's a really stressful, horrible, sucky situation. And as with a lot of disabled people's problems, it can be solved with money. And I know it's really annoying, I know it's really, like, I don't like asking you for money, I don't enjoy it, it's not my favourite thing to do, but I think that this is a really good thing to put your money to if you're able to, if you have a bit of money that you're able to donate. We're not fussy. We are not, like, I know how it is when you click on a GoFundMe and they need a shit ton of money and it's like, oh yeah, my $5's gonna really help this. But it is. Like, your $5 is going to really help it. I guarantee if everyone that watches this, even if it's just everyone that watches this end part, not even that watches, like, the actual topic of the video, if everyone that watches this part right now went and donated a $5, that would be a massive difference. It would be a massive amount. Like, you know? Like, I know it can be intimidating it doesn't have to, you don't have to donate half of it, you know, like we're very aware that it's probably going to take some time, and that's how it's going to be. And I don't know what else to say. I don't know what to say. If you can share it, if you can donate, anything you can do to help us to reach the goal and for my friend's partner to be able to have appropriate transport that they need, it would just be very cool. I would really appreciate it. They would really appreciate it. And quite frankly, I'm sorry, what's the point of having a community of disabled people if we can't help out each other? You know, like, I've been so massively helped out by this community and by this friend in specific. They paid the deposit on my house. I would not be living in this house if it weren't for them. I don't know how I would have gotten that money together. They've helped me out financially, they've helped me out emotionally, they support me so much. We watch all of my favourite shows together. They are one of the absolute best friends that I've ever had in my whole entire life, and I would just so deeply love to see their life get a little bit easier. I would so deeply love to see them not have to like take like 3 days to get their partner to a doctor's appointment, to be able to go out and have fun with their partner. Like, it just would mean the whole entire world. It would be genuinely life-changing. It would be absolutely incredible. And I know that it's a lot of money, but I really deeply believe that we can get there, and that it can be a really massive positive change for them. And I'm going to stop now. But I'm technically not, because you are going to be hearing this at the end of all my videos until they have their van. It's really important to me, it's really important to them, and it would be really great. I'm sorry, I hate doing this. I really don't fucking enjoy doing this. But it's, you know, I enjoy doing this a lot more than they enjoy trying to get to a fucking doctor's appointment that they need for their health. This is a hell of a lot easier than that is for them right now. They should be able to just jump in their van and go. So it will be linked down below. If you can donate anything at all, I would massively appreciate it. If you can share it, that is also fantastic. Like, I haven't been able to donate. I don't have fucking much money. Sharing it is the most that a lot of us can do, and it's brilliant and fantastic, and I deeply, deeply appreciate it. If you can make any of your own posts, if you make any content online and can mention it there, if you can just share it around for me, I would deeply appreciate it. So I am going to go now. Thank you for listening to that spiel if you have. I kind of thought I was getting better at it, but this has been one of my worst ones yet, I think. I'm not proud of this at all. We've made a video, okay? We've done that much. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you have a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.